about this situation right now? Well, Mike Tomlin. And Mike Tomlin, Skip Bayless says, needs to take a break. Now, Skip Bayless was in chorus with Keyshawn and Richard Sherman, all saying maybe it's time for Tomlin to take a break. Well, let's listen to some sound of that.
If I could have played the game you guys played at the highest level, I would want to play for that guy, because that guy would make me want to run through brick locker room walls for him. The Mike Tomlin I've watched these many years would have just given some nice non-answer to that question. This isn't the time or whatever. But it showed the depth of how this has worn on him, because that was a hard grind that he went through this year, because he knows he doesn't have a quarterback. And he tried to say some nice things about Mason Rudolph, how he competed and he made smart decisions, but it's Mason Rudolph, man. And you hung in there at 24-17, and you just knew inevitably that Buffalo's going to make one more play and you're going to go home a loser, and they did. And I think it just tore him up, and he was in no mood to talk about the near future, but he'll do some exit interview with the media next day or two, and it'll be great. He'll be right back on track. But I'm with you, Keyshawn, and both of you guys. It feels like it would be a good time for him to take a break.
Okay. So, Mike Tomlin, the coach, 17 years, who's never had a losing season. Mike Tomlin, the coach who walked off, stomped off, whatever you want to say, when a reporter wanted to switch the conversation from the present to the future. What is your future? What's going to happen in your contract situation, Mike Tomlin? Well, let me just be Donald Downer, right? Mike Tomlin told his players during a team meeting that he plans to be the Pittsburgh Steelers coach next year. So, wait a minute. Mike Tomlin, who's been there forever, and all of a sudden stomps off, why was he so emotional? Why was he so perturbed in that moment if he's going to be the coach anyway? So something may have just happened between the end of that game and him declaring that from his team on Tuesday. Let's talk about that. You ungrateful sons of snitches, trying to make Mike Tomlin feel the pressure of wanting to either move on, take a break, or dare I say retire. That's messed up. Why is that messed up? Because Mike Tomlin is obviously one of the best coaches we have. Beyond that, Mike Tomlin still has his fastball. What he doesn't have is a quarterback that has a fastball. So we have now lost sight, if you are in chorus with Skip Bayless and others saying, hey, Mike Tomlin, take a little break. Instead of reloading at the position you need most, how about you take a break? You imagine how these Pittsburgh Steelers would look if they didn't have Mike Tomlin? All right, let's just swap it out. Let's just do that, okay? Let's just exchange it right there. Let's change variables. All right, Mike Tomlin coaches and you give him a good quarterback. Okay, Mike Tomlin doesn't coach, you give him the same quarterback. Okay, Mike Tomlin doesn't coach, you give him a better quarterback. I only see one scenario where it's going to be the best. I see one scenario where it's going to work. It's Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin being there for that team. We have lost ourselves in this zero-sum equation of win it all or else sweeping changes. Now, if you were to remove Mike Tomlin, this team would lose its way, and I think that this culture right now, because I don't see someone replacing him. There's a lot of good free agents out there. Mike Vrabel comes to mind, former Pittsburgh Steeler. The thing about it is with Mike Vrabel that everyone is saying what got him out in Tennessee is that he didn't dot all the I's and cross all the T's when it came to relationships upstairs. Maybe there was a lack of respect for everyone around there. Maybe it was the fact that all he wanted to do was coach and didn't want to deal with all the extras. A lot of this could be conjecture, but the point is there won't be another professional football coach coming into Pittsburgh doing a better job than Mike Tomlin. You may say Jim Harbaugh. I just don't think Jim Harbaugh going to go there. I just don't see that right now. Everybody else, I think, is under Mike Tomlin, including Bill Belichick, who is the greatest coach of all time. But that doesn't mean that that time is the present time right now. So the emotional content of Mike Tomlin walking off, why would he do that? Why would he cause a scene when he knows he's just going to go back to status quo being the coach? I think it was for real because he was contemplating his own death. I think Mike Tomlin was sitting there thinking about, maybe they right. I think Mike Tomlin was sitting there saying, how dare they even challenge me in this moment. And you know, when people come at you and people try to say something about you, as much as you put up the fight, as much as you may win that public conversation, privately, you still wrestle with those same words, right? You go on social media and you scroll and somebody say something crazy. You wrestle with that. Even though you may win that wrestling match, you still wrestle with that. I think Mike Tomlin, because of the enormity of all this conversation, was wrestling with it and just didn't want to have to deal with it in that moment. You just lost, playoffs over, season over, and somebody talking about what's next. You talking about what's now, what you feeling right now. So, like, it's crazy. I when I was, all the transitions I've made, like major transitions, leaving shows or leaving networks or leaving home, it's always you thinking about what happens if. You know, you always ask that question. What happens if it's better on the other side? Like, everybody always thinks since you got a fresh job that it can't get better. Like, the NFL was amazing to me and it's sick. Like, come on, being in the NFL is the best. The only thing that rivals it, that's better than it, is being a part of the NFL, not getting hit, having shows, being on TV, having a persona, making a living, and you ain't dealing with that. I give you an example. Last night I saw Max Crosby. We chopped it up for a while. We got the same agent, and we just know each other, DN on DN love. I got salute for that dude, right? And we were talking, and the craziest thing is I kept hearing injury, working out, surgery. Injury, working out, surgery. Like, that's been his off seasons. He got to have surgery today, as a matter of fact. Point being, it hurts. Football hurts every day in every way. So when you get an opportunity to move on from that, a lot of people are looking at you like, oh, where else you gonna go? I remember all my teammates saying, where else you gonna do, Wiley, that's better than this? You better not retire. You better stay up in here. I think I found something. You know what I mean? So the point is, with you, Mike Tomlin, he's wrestling with that as well. You know Mike Tomlin could take anybody's announcing job right there like that. But he's wrestling with that. You know Mike Tomlin could just sit there and say, man, let me just do a coaching podcast. You know Mike Tomlin say, let me just sit on my butt and just collect and just chill out. He can do all those things. But what we witnessed him walking off from is that question that made him address those in his own head. He didn't want to deal with all those opponents, all those conversations. So it was pretty cool to see it. I just don't understand why they're trying to put pressure on Mike Tomlin. Like, there are 32 coaches out there, and y'all putting pressure on Mike Tomlin to make a decision or to take a break or to move on. Just get him a damn quarterback. It ain't that damn hard. So what y'all think? Y'all think that Mike Tomlin still should be the coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers? Or y'all like, man, Skip right, dog. I don't know what the hell you talking about, Wiley. Skip good. You ever been in that position where people thought, oh, man, it's time for you to move on? And you thought about it, too. And have you ever moved on to a better situation, even though you already had a good one? That, to me, would be Mike Tomlin if he moved on.